We're back, folks. And I have something very important to tell you. And you and I are going to have to make some plans for May 26th.
What is May 26th?
National Tap Dance Day.
Oh, I just ordered a new pair of tap shoes, too. How coincidental is that?
I wonder if perhaps, we can't tap dance on this bloody carpet.
Oh, we'll get a floor come in.
There we go. There we go. This is a very important day.
Our technical producer in there, Andrew, he says he's gonna lead a routine in tap.
Boy,
That is just phenomenal. So
this is going to be
stay tuned, folks.
quite a show.
It is. Oh, it's going to be just unbelievable. You know, folks, they used to call us Taxachusetts.
Yep.
And then the state got apparently some PR people around and said, we're not Taxachusetts anymore. We're way down on the tax list. We're not that bad. In fact, we're better than most. Well, this week, a new study came out. And they called it lifetime taxes. Not just taxes. It's what you pay in your lifetime, all the taxes.
Really?
That's, your income tax, your real estate tax, your sales tax, your liquor tax, any kind of tax that you've paid.
You know what I love is the automobile excise
tax. That's a real sweetheart, isn't it?
Lasts what, 5 or 6 years, 7 years before your car is obsolete or something stupid?
I said to somebody that from out of state, I said, they said something about, I get new plates. Well, what does it cost you? I said, I don't know. I guess it's up to $60 or something for 2 years now. They said, oh, that's nothing. We're paying, $50 a year. I said, yeah, but we're also paying auto excise tax. What's that? Well, every year they assess you 2.5% of your car's value. You mean on top of the license? Yeah, on top of the license. So, well, anyway. Number one in the nation. And the lifetime taxes goes to New Jersey.
Yeah, they love it down there.
$987,117 you'll pay in your lifetime.
That's a tidy sum.
Number two, Washington, D.C., $844,000.
They like spending money down there.
Number three, Connecticut, $855,000.
Yep.
Guess who's sitting in 4 out of 50 states? Us.
Why?
We're not Taxachusetts, and we're not that far behind. $816,700.
Where's New York?
They weren't even on the list.
Oh, wow.
And it goes down to the lowest, West Virginia. $358,400.
Wow.
Way below half of the rest of the top of us. So if they tell you that we're not really Taxachusetts anymore, we're better than average. Well, we're not. So
hard to believe.
Yeah, it is hard to believe, but it's true.
We try as hard as we can to get to be number one, and we're knocked down to 4.
That's right. We had something going for us. We had pride. We were the best.
Taxachusetts.
Yep. And now we're only number 4 now.
Did you ever call on guys down south? And they used to do this deliberately. Call us Massachusetts.
Oh yeah. Yep. It's some places a lot of places you get out down south and they'd see Massachusetts, and it wasn't like, oh, great, like a kind of a negative. Do you know that 1 out of 4 young people right now are leaving Boston?
I'm surprised it's not higher than that.
1 out of 4. That's a cost of rent, job availability, ability to buy a home, all the reasons that they bailing out.
Dwayne, and I don't want to get off the subject. I'm going to write it here, and we'll come back to it.
Okay.
But one of the things, talking about young people, I think we're going to have to seriously consider reinstating the draft.
Oh, I do too.
We are not getting
not meeting our
qualified
numbers. No.
people joining the service. Oh, we're getting. And you know who is overquoted all the time? The Marines.
Yeah, well, they have a very small pool of people that they want, and
That's
they can pick the cream de la creme there.
Right. And anyone that, and I talked to a young man one day, and he said, no, he says, if I decide the service is for me, it's going to be the Marines.
Yeah, and there's
He
a
said-
certain pride about going into the Marines.
That's right.
so.
And he said, if I'm going to put my life on the line, I want the best training I can
Yeah.
get. And the Marines are our best fighting force. We'll have to talk about the draft later.
Yeah, I agree with it. I think the draft has got to come back. Some form of it.
Now, well, all right, I guess we'll talk about it now for a second. We're having riots on the campuses. If we reinstate the draft, we'll have riots on the campuses that'll dwarf
Oh, absolutely.
what's going on
Absolutely. I mean,
now. And we'll have, I'm not going. Hell no, I won't go.
a lot of it, Bill, is up front. It's I don't believe in the philosophy of war and killing and all this stuff. Deep down, it's I'm scared crapless.
It's deep down.
I don't want to
it's-
do this because it's inconvenient for me.
I don't want to be in with that bunch of guys.
Yep. I don't want that. I want to do what I want to do.
I have a degree in accounting. I have a job waiting for me at $135,000 a year. I don't want 3 years of walking around with a pack basket on me and a steel pot for a helmet. I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it. That's right.
Daddy says I don't have to. He'll
Yep.
call Senator Markey.
Just like with Vietnam, when they were drafting, the people running to Canada and everything else stopped the draft. It just faded away. It wasn't the principle of the going to war. It was the principle of, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to do it.
Right. That's right. It's now patriotism and love of country is out of vogue now.
Yes.
We have stopped loving our country.
True.
We have the ones that preach you hate your country, and we're going to change it.
That's true. There's no question about that. But
By the way, there was a blurb this morning on, and I missed it, on Fox, where someone in the Biden administration said in an offhand remark, the president has a whole bunch of plans for new taxes if he's elected president, and we are going to get the income tax system squared away so everyone pays their fair share. Doesn't that sound good?
I don't have any problem with everybody paying their fair share.
Right. Right. What I care about is the ones that aren't. It's like carrying a load. I mean, if there's 6 guys carrying a load and one guy's coasting and he's not doing any
right.
heavy lifting, not a good situation.
I got no qualms at all about everybody paying their fair share. I don't care how smart you are or how many tax loopholes you think how many attorneys you got working for you.
How many
bad.
lawyers
How many,
you got working for
yeah.
you?
But another thing that I was been kind of kidding in the past few shows about these towns that are showing resistance to the MBTA's zoning. I don't know what you'd call it.
their
telling the towns
guidelines.
Yeah,
guess.
call it guidelines, but they do
It's stronger
do it
than
with
that.
an iron
Yeah.
fist. You got Milford, now you got Marshfield, a couple other things are starting to resist. I really think they should resist. It's no damn business of the MBTA what your zoning is. That is amongst themselves, that town or that city business. You got an organization that can't put a car on a track without it falling off or something else happening to it, telling us or telling these towns how you're going to run the town.
Well, I think there's a whole bunch of factors in the genesis of this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, but it's under the auspices of the MBTA.
One of them, it seems to me, the city of Boston is one of the most congested messes in the world.
Yeah.
And for people
got-
to work in Boston, you've got to have a transit system that works.
Yeah. There's no question about that.
Yeah, but it hasn't. Again, because it's been run by politicians.
Oh, yeah.
And
And cronyism. It's just full of patronism and
yeah. I mean, this is so corrupt. There was just a woman that was appointed by the governor to some board as a chairman. In the Herald, the next day, Freedom of Information Act published the fact that she gave Maura Healey $3,200 one time and $2,000 another time, order of magnitude, I don't know the numbers, and that her husband also did too. And she was appointed as a chairman of this board, and they pay a whole hell of a lot of money.
absolutely.
That patronage, buying a job, I don't see how you can moralize that as being a good thing. It's
You
a
can't.
dreadful system.
It's terrible. But when this was exposed, well, it's been around in this state particularly. But we're not the only state that does this. But down south, those they were experts at it for years. We've been experts at it since probably since colonial time. I don't know.
Mayor Curley, if there was ever any doubts about it, he perfected it.
It kind of came to light a few years ago. I believe it was the probation department had all these numbnucks in positions of authority and policy making, and everything was just getting all mushed up. And it came out that most all these people were appointed by some politician or somebody with some authority or some influence. And I remember DeLeo,
Oh yeah.
DeLeo, his response was, "That's how we do business. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We've been doing that for years."
Yeah.
Well, obviously you've been doing it for years because it doesn't work.
I've met Bobby DeLeo. He's not a bad guy.
Oh, I didn't say he was a bad guy.
But
he was just immersed in that
are you a
system.
professional politician?
Yeah.
It is. I don't know how you change it. You've got to change the laws to say that this is illegal to do this sort of thing, buying jobs. But how do you change the laws when the lawmakers are the ones that are doing the stuff,
They're
committing
the problem.
the crimes,
that's
if
right.
you will? It'll never change
And
unless a governor comes in with a huge shovel and starts shoveling people the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to be Superman on steroids.
What's going to have to change is the attitude of the constituents. We accept that here. You were going to take a man in the street someplace and go, "Oh, that's the way they do business," and they don't they just walk away from it. No one cares.
How many times have you been told, why are you worried about it?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do a damn
You can't do anything
thing
about it anyway, so just. So there are some things I take that to heart now. I'm too damned old to worry about it.
Yeah, I get one of friend of mine, professional warrior. I said, why? How can you grow an ulcer, bang down the booze because you're worried about things? You're a professional warrior. All the worrying in the world is not going to change anything one bit. Okay? So why are you worried about it? Now, I can see people being concerned and saying, this really should change and all of that. Get active in politics, support people that will change things or whatever. But to worry, spend all your life worrying is madness.
It is. You can't. Yeah, it's not going to change, and you're not going to change it yourself. But if the general consensus moved,
Yeah.
and that moved very slow.
And there has to be a catalyst for it. And Maura Healey or Mayor Wu or Ed Markey or any of or Granny Warren are not the catalysts. They are not part of the solution. They are part of the problem.
Granny's got going to have a competitor this time.
A Republican.
Yeah, from what? He's a city councilman from Quincy or something.
Yeah, something like that. But he's active. He's got money.
He's smart.
He's smart.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, she has got a pile of negatives.
Oh my God, you can. If she runs unopposed, well, of course, you and I could win unopposed. Maybe.
I think so. Maybe. I have a couple of times. But, it's, I don't know.
I see. We mentioned this before about stores that are having trouble with shrinkage, as they call it.
Yeah.
Theft is what it is. I see online that a bunch of Walmarts and a bunch of Targets are taking out their self-checkout. When I saw that come in years ago, I said, boy, that's just an invitation to steal.
I buy groceries over to Roche Brothers, and they have self-checkout. And they have either a kid or a young lady there stationed. If I screw up and I don't know how the hell to figure out what the price of celery is, and they come over and go, boop, boop, and that's it. But nobody watches and counts.
No.
It is the honor system, and I have got to believe. Now, they told me that installing the automatic checkout was more expensive than having people, cashiers.
Okay, yep.
And the reason, because they can't find good people to be cashiers.
Well, that's probably true.
The machines, they're there all day.
All the time, yeah.
Yep. They don't call in sick. And, but they know they're losing money on them. They know that there is loss.
Well, apparently in some areas it's so great that it threatens the existence of the store.
A big Target shut down in a major city that was part of downtown.
Yep.
It shocked the hell out of everybody. They just closed the doors. A lot of cities are, especially Oakland, California, and San Francisco, they're losing businesses like crazy. Now, how long can that last?
Well, not long, because
No.
then when they close up, then it's always somehow it's racial,
Oh yeah.
because they closed it in a minorities part of town. Well, they wouldn't be closing if they weren't losing their butt doing business there.
And intimidated by
Yeah.
angry youth who come in and just rip stuff off and walk out.
Oh, another thing that Target's doing in some areas, nobody comes in the door that's not 18 years old without an
wow.
adult compliment.
Oh, that must cause quite a log jam at the door.
Yeah. No kids coming in by themselves anymore.
You know, I can see an 18-year-old thug knocking the guy flat on his keister and saying, "I'll come in any damn door I want, mister," and just walking in.
Oh, absolutely.
I wonder how many times the security guys get knocked on their keisters and say to the store, "I'm suing you. You're killing me."
Yeah, well, most of the stores, I don't know now today. I'm talking years ago already. They train their security people don't get into a pissing
Oh, I know.
contest with this guy, because what he's going to steal is not worth your life.
That's right. Now, isn't that quite a deal? You're licensed to steal. Come in and take it. Oh, and there's laws, too, in some cities. You cannot stop a thief. That is assault and battery on him.
Yep.
And you could go to jail.
Well, years ago, my first job out of college was with a retail outfit, and it was a management development program. We started in the stores for a period of months, and I started on a setup team, a brand new store where they were just building it, and then you went through the planning and the merchandising and the setting it up, and then you went through the different operations. You were a hard lines manager, then a soft lines, and then operations manager, which is the checkouts, the security, the building itself, all the stuff except merchandising. That was the big one. And then the next step, I didn't get a store management for very long, but that's how I got here. They brought me here as a buyer, and that's where you ended up in the purchasing and the headquarters. But the area when I was in the store and it was running, you had to work a day shift, which you come in at like 9 to 5, or you came in noon to closing. And we always had a county sheriff, deputy sheriff, off duty, hired as detail work there. In his outfit, and Ohio had outfits look like state troopers with the Yogi Bear hats and all that stuff, and all the strap and all that stuff. And there was two Lesher brothers were the two. They were twins, and honest to God, you couldn't hardly tell them apart. One or the other was always. Sometimes you never knew unless you saw his badge which one it was. But you had to make that night deposit. Store would close at 10. Time you got 11 o'clock now at night, and this store was not downtown. This was out in a edge of a suburb that wasn't quite a suburb yet. There was a couple of buildings to the left here, and it was fields and farms and stuff out here. And the bank was about 4 miles down the road. Dark, no lights, no nothing. And I used to get that money. He'd go along, and of course, one time he's in my car. I'm driving around. I said, "Oh God, I hate doing this out here." He says, "Oh, don't worry." He slaps. He says, "Anybody tries taking this, they're going to be in for a hell of a gunfight." I said, "No, they're not." I said, "We're going to give it to them." He said, "No, we're not." I said, "Yes, you are." I said, "Well, you're getting out and you put it in the drawer. I'm not doing it." I said, "It's not worth getting shot for maybe $8,000 or $6,000 in that bag."
Well, down at Walpole Police Department. Now, I worked for them part-time as an EMT ambulance driver about 3 years. And they would have a call come in somewhere in the 11 o'clock, 11:20, 11:15, Mickey D's, and they'd send a cruiser down. The cruiser would pick up the young man or the young woman, bring her up to the
Same
bank,
kind of thing, yeah.
and drop it off,
Night deposit. Huh?
and then take her back to McDonald's. And now that cost McDonald's a little bit. So it was that quitting time, and they would throw all the food out. This was when they used to prepare it in advance, and it was be on like a steam table
okay,
kind of.
yeah.
Anything that was there at quitting time went in a couple of bags and went up to the police station.
Okay, sure.
And the changing of the shifts, and the guys would get cheeseburgers and all that. A little payola.
Yeah, well, that's better than throwing it out.
That's exactly right.
Did you see our Secretary of Transportation shot off her mouth about the tolling? When I saw that, I said, good God. That idea that you charge, I think Manhattan's doing that now and London's doing it, but that you charge a fee at a certain time to drive into town. Now, I used to say to Monica, I said, they were talking about this years ago, or a couple years ago, when we were going in for chemo. And we were making that trip in Southeast Expressway.
Yeah.
Stop, go, stop, go, stop. 2 car lengths, 1 car length, stop, go, stop. I said, you know, that idea that if you have to pay a fee, you won't come into town. I said, look around. Do you think anybody's out here because they want to be out on this mess? Everybody's out here because they gotta be on this mess for one reason or other. That fee is just an unnecessary tax. It doesn't solve anything. It's not like tourists are coming in, oh, I want to go and see the Southeast Expressway jammed up.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wanted to be doing that.
It's horrible. My next to last job or my next to last job? Next to last. I worked out of my house. And for an easy week, I would have, going to call on New England companies. And I'd call a big pipe and supply house or something, and they say, come on in about 9:30, 10 o'clock. I said, okay, I'll be there at 10. Driving the expressway, I'll tell you, that got old real fast. And I said to myself, I have to figure out something better than this. And I, a couple of times, took the train in. A lot of walking, but it was a hell of a lot easier than driving the expressway.
Oh, yeah.
Oof. Hey, speaking of that, now you have a Toyota Camry.
Yeah.
I was reading in this year's specs, the Camry hybrid, 44 miles to the gallon. Boy, oh boy, when you stop and think about that, that is a very, very good reason to skip the electrics and stay with a hybrid. You've got reliability.
Yeah.
You don't have to stop.
They're all going to be they're all hybrid come this model year.
Yeah. And you know what I often thought is that if I was still working and had a company car, I would probably down myself to a Camry with the V6. That would, to me, that would be an ideal package.
Well, my daughter-in-law just got a new Lexus. Oh God, it's an SUV, but it's not the bus. It's the.
I know which one it is.
It's a beautiful car, and it's a hybrid.
Yeah.
Now it's big, you know. It's a hell of a lot bigger than my Camry. You still got to sit up high, and she's getting about 35, 36 miles to the gallon on that big thing.
Boy, oh boy, huh?
And I said, "Do you plug it in?" She said, "No, I don't have to plug it in." She said, "It somehow recharges itself off the. It's got a gas engine too. When it's not needed for, I guess, cruising down the highway or going down a hill, it charges the battery. So that then when it needs it again, it kicks the battery back in."
I would guess that was a fairly expensive vehicle.
Yeah, I would guess it's probably.
Regenerative electronics, I think is what they call it.
Okay,
Yeah.
but they bought two at a time.
Double your trouble, double your fun.
No, they bought one of them Greyhound buses for the other one.
The Healy Secretary of Transportation.
Oh, you know that she's going to be a wacko nut just by her name. Now that's not fair, but
is she a guy transitioning? Certainly
I don't
looks
know.
like it.
I didn't have the picture. I just had a name. And
I'll give you this here in a second.
Monica Tibbet Nutt.
Yeah.
That's with two T's, by the way.
Here are her fondest dreams,
Okay.
which she has stated. Increasing the state payroll tax, jacking up local excise taxes, new tolls on all highways leading into Massachusetts, forcing working class drivers out of their pickup trucks,
Now this is Miss Nutt we're talking
Yep.
about? Okay.
which she claims are basically 18-wheelers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw that was in the
yeah.
article.
Yeah, that's great. Writing more speeding tickets, suspending more driver's licenses, and forcing motorists to appeal the loss of their license at the state's kangaroo court hearings. Using state policy to bludgeon citizens into submission to the deep state. I'll 100% use it as a weapon. She said, we're really getting really, really aggressive. We're pushing for less warnings, more citations. I'm telling you, nothing slows down someone real quick like getting your license suspended. Now, this is the part that stay tuned for this. The beauty is we can be in charge of that too, because we will 100% take your license. We have absolutely no problem doing it. Feel free to appeal this in a hearing. According to her press release, her goals are a more inclusive and equitable transportation system. Very significantly, she's also involved with a transportation foundation that provides scholarships to female identifying professionals and students.
The key there is female identifying.
Yep. There's one other crazy thing in here too. She was asked about the major threats to the planet. SUVs have frightened her enough, she said, but now these pickup trucks, F-150s, I'm terrified they're going to squish me like a bug and not even notice me. And she said, that's very reasonable. They're massive.
She's got that all confused with something else.
Oh. And, I think one more. And I'm 100% passing judgment on someone who wants to drive basically an 18-wheeler as their own personal car.
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And this...
Who's your transportation secretary?
Yeah, and the governor has appointed her or him or whatever the hell his story is. I mean, this is... And you know what?
It doesn't say much.
Where is
either
the
one of them.
outrage?
There isn't any because
No.
we don't care.
Nobody cares. You're right. Madness.
How long are we going to have to put up? Not that this is a big deal, but are we that dumb that we don't know that Twitter is now X?
Yeah. Do we have to keep
We have to, every time they put it down, tell us that this used to be
the
Twitter.
former Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I I think I've caught on to it.
I got onto it.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, want to get mad about something else? We have
I don't
shortages.
get mad, I get even.
Yeah. I guess it's the filler compound for pills, prescription pills.
Yeah.
And you put the live ingredients into it, and it becomes
right.
medicine. Where do major drug company components come from? There's a shortage of them right now.
I'm going to guess China and India.
48% come from India, 22% come from Europe, and 13% come from China. The rest, who knows? We have a shortage of drugs, prescription drugs in this country, because we make nothing at home.
It's crazy. They don't have to put any money into defense or bombs or jets or rockets. Just turn off the spigots to us, and they have us on our knees.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Have you noticed on TV a guy by the name of Mark Chakins?
I'm not good with names. What?
He comes on, he wears glasses, and he said, I have never seen anything in the stock market in my career, or at least for the last 25 years, that replicates what's happening today. Millions of people are going to be wiped out.
No, I wouldn't.
But
have paid attention.
if you know the stocks to avoid and the right stock to buy, you are going to triple your money. So go to my website and I will reveal this stock absolutely free to you. You must do it today or
All right.
tomorrow. Okay? So I went to the website. I gave up after 55 minutes. All he talked about was this think tank that he owns, this advisory service that he provides,
Of course.
and all this information that you can access of his. Of course, it comes at a big subscription cost. But at 55 minutes, Dwayne, I finally shut the TV off. I don't know when or if he ever told anybody. But this guy has got to be, I'll bet you in a previous life he dealt 3-card Monty down in Times Square.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys that come on
Yeah.
and they say they got this great investment thing, whatever it is. And I always thought, well, if it's so damn great, how come you're telling everybody about it and you're not just jumping on it yourself?
How come people aren't running after you,
Yeah.
trying to give you money so that you can invest it for them? Yeah. How come you got to be on TV begging? Ay, ay,
I got
ay.
a question for you.
Go ahead.
1620 Mayflower.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to dump up to 1624 because that's where the stats started. 400 years ago. Somebody born today, how many ancestors do they have? A direct lineage of great grandparents, grandparents, great, all the way down. What would be the total count of ancestors? Would you guess?
Brothers and sisters too?
No,
just the ancestors.
Parents, grandparents.
Yeah, okay.
Direct lineage.
All right, so 5 per century, and then there would be double that to 10,
It's phenomenal.
and
400 years.
so 400?
Comes out 4,094. They showed the math. That's done. I said, that's amazing. When somebody said, well, my ancestors came over on the Mayflower, yeah, you and 4,100 people are claiming that one person.
Now, is this tree take into consideration all the children from the tree
I don't think so. I
as
think
they
it's
go
just
out?
it has to. Yeah, it went like this.
Yeah, it's got to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I can believe that, 4,000, yeah. Wow. How about that? I don't claim
It's
to.
a hell of a family reunion.
My ancestors came from New Brunswick and Ireland. And in both cases, the Irish came over just after the potato famine and settled in Boston. And some of them went down to Richmond, Virginia and settled. And then came back up here. And then the New Brunswick people, my dad's side of things, came over to this country in, probably 1915, 1920, because my dad's mother and father lived in New Brunswick, but came across and had my dad and his two sisters born in this country. They just, still, then they went back to New Brunswick, just so they'd be citizens.
Unfortunately, I can't go back very far because nobody ever.
Nobody kept records?
Nope. On the wife's side, I know that they were either born in Europe or else they were children when they got here. But nobody ever asked my grandfather, other than he had one brother that lived with him, but nobody said to him, what was your parents' names, where did they live, or your grandparents. And nobody bothered to, if they did, they never wrote it down. And now there's nobody left that knows.
In the Sullivan family, which was my mother's side, I am the oldest survivor of Dan Sullivan, my great-grandfather. And if I don't know the answer to some of this old stuff that I was told, essentially there's nobody else that does.
Nobody else, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I know where they came from. And they all came from southern Germany or Austria or Hungarian, or that little loop.
That loop, yeah.
And that changed the border so many times.
Yeah.
Austrian Hungarian Empire, and it was
Yep.
part of Germany, and it wasn't part of, what is it? Bavaria.
Oh, Bavaria, northern Bavaria, southern Germany. Yeah.
So we still got some cousins, short tail relationship once in a while there. But those come from my mother's side. They know more about where they came from than
Now,
my father's side.
what was her maiden name?
Sam.
S-A...
A-M. Sam.
S-A-M? Okay.
Which is a fairly popular name in that part of Europe. Now he came over. My grandfather Sam, Tony Sam, he came here as a college student. Believe it or not, his father was a burgermeister.
Burgermeister.
Or like
He
a
was
mayor.
Mayor of a town.
Yeah, it was not a big city or anything.
No, but even the small villages had a burgermeister.
And he and a college friend came over to play, I guess, summertime. And World War I broke out, and they couldn't get back.
Aha.
He never went back. He met my grandmother and got married because he couldn't get back for a couple of years. He never went back. To visit maybe, but never to.
Did he? And then he obviously became a citizen.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's interesting because if they knew that he was German, they might have interned him. They would have during World War II.
World War II, they
Yeah.
were doing that kind
Well,
of stuff.
maybe.
Well, Japanese.
There's an
anyway.
awful lot of German Americans in the
Oh
country.
my God,
though, that
yeah,
couldn't
that's a
do
big section of the country. But so they know more about that side of the family than the other side of the family. And my relatives went from Wisconsin, Minnesota area west. They didn't. Nobody stopped east. I got quite a few other. I got California group. I got a Montana group, Dakotas, and then of course my group. We're the eastern part. And I even had a horse thief that was hung, uncle, supposedly. I think I told you that at my mother's funeral, the Dakota people came in. I'd never met them. I always heard about them. And I said to, I introduced, talking to them at the funeral. I said, I gotta ask you a question. Did we have an uncle or somebody that was in South Dakota or Montana was hung as a horse thief? They said, we always heard we did. So they had the same story, so maybe we did. It was.
Who knows?
Who knows? But I just think that way as a kid when you hear that story, you see it as an outlaw. I had an outlaw that was cool for me,
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't have any
But the California,
exciting.
I don't know the California people. I knew them when I was young, as a kid. Met them once or twice, and it would have been my mother's aunts and uncles that moved out there. I used to hear about them. They were Northern California up in Redwood. Yeah,
Up-
Redwood.
Yeah, up there.
One of them owned the daily newspaper in that town, but that's kind of vague. That has gone water over the dam too.
Yeah.
We don't know anybody anymore.
If someone isn't the historian in
Yeah.
the family, it's all going to fade away.
It just goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I preach, I'll preach, I guess it is, that my grandkids and even my granddaughter, or even my daughter-in-law, should write down her family's history, because they escaped from China, and her father, Ian, would have been, 17, 18 years old. That was when the Mao Zedong and the revolution,
Oh, yeah.
the People's Revolution. Well, they came from landowners and teachers, and they were the ones that they were killing them. They were putting them in rehabilitation camps and all kinds of stuff. So they escaped. They knew they had to get the hell out of the country, and they spent 30 days traveling at night, hiding during the day, and got to Burma. Now, see, we know the history now because Yin and Shirley, her parents, or my grandkids' grandparents on the other side, they're still alive. But unless somebody records this,
Dwayne,
they're going to die. This story is going to fade away into nothing.
this is going. You're almost like pushing on a rope, trying to get them to write it.
They don't seem as important.
If you could get a
10.
get a recording, a video recording,
Mm-hmm.
if you could sit down with them
Yeah.
and record for a couple of hours
Yeah, the stories that
the stories, then you would have
Have it,
something
yep.
you could always put it
Put it in
in
writing.
written form then. But if someone said to me, Bill, I want you to write down everything you can remember about the Sullivan family. Huh?
Yeah, right.
But if you want to get together and sit and talk and stories and stuff like that, stuff will come back. We'll talk more about this and about that.
I don't think that Craig's in-laws, then, there's aunts and uncles and stuff that are involved in it too, and I don't think any of them have ever sat down and recorded anything.
Do you know?
And I keep telling them, you're gonna have to do something about this, because this is history that should be preserved.
You know, well, you can call me crazy if you want, but I live just close to the cemetery. And I walk by the cemetery a lot. I go in the cemetery and walk around it a lot, visit my relatives. And I look at the gravestones, and there are people here that time has forgotten.
Oh, absolutely.
No one will
ever been around that
ever
stone? Yep.
know who Joseph Moore was.
It's just
It's
gone and gone.
It's
Yep.
gone.
As if they never existed.
That's exactly right. And you know, on, I think it's November 2nd. November 1st is All Saints Day. November 2nd is All Souls Day.
So I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. And we're called upon to pray for the souls of people who have no one left to pray for them. And I always try to make it a point to go down to the cemetery on November 2nd and do that.
Okay.
As a great parish priest told me once, because I said, I don't know. I said, I think it's a good thing. And he said, can't hurt, Bill, and it might
Yeah,
help.
can't hurt. Yeah.
Can't hurt, and it might help. So, what do you think of, you know? But you know what else kills me too? And is there's so much of that growth, that crap, I don't know, fungus or whatever the hell it is on the gravestones.
Yeah.
Would seem to me that the town of Norfolk could invest in perhaps 3 teenagers, responsible teenagers, ones that are on the honor roll, and hire them to clean the gravestones. It's not a terribly difficult deal.
Most of the schools, they got to do some kind of community service.
Yeah. But you'd think that someone
Yeah.
would, but then again,
I wanted to mention that yesterday's paper, I believe in the Sun Chronicle, had a picture of a bear. It said, the bears are back.
They are.
And I just happened to see that in the morning. I picked the paper up, and I get the Globe and I get the Chronicle, and they're always in front of the garage door, and I open the door, and I pick up the 2 papers and go back in the house. I said, oh, bears. And I looked down, I said, whoa, Everett Street, that's the block to the left of me. And another sighting is on 140 right there to the other side of me, blocking either side. I said, well, criminy sakes, that's close. I look out in my backyard. I have a bird feeder, had a bird feeder, on a metal pole called a shepherd's staff. It's one of those things with the hoops on it. It is bent 90 degrees. It comes out of the ground about this far on a base thing and bent right over. I said, I think I got a good idea who did that. And then the suet cage thing is missing. I found that on the edge of the woods. So that got carried off too. So I think I got visited by that bear that they sighted on either side of me.
You certainly did, man.
And he left his calling card. Well, I'm not filling that feeder back up until later in the summer, I think.
Hopefully he moves on, shuffles off the buffalo.
Come over this side of town.
Well, isn't that nice?
No, it's not.
Oh,
Something been pooping too in my backyard. And I think it might be like coyotes because...
well, guess who else is in your backyard and in that whole run of woods across the street from you, behind you?
Yeah.
All that. Bobcats.
Oh, we have twice now seen a bobcat. Yep. Beautiful. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Aren't
pretty.
they?
He looks like he's got feet this big.
I trapped one bobcat up in Maine. The takeaway, I have never felt sharper claws
Oh, I
in
can
my
imagine.
life. I mean, just rubbing up against them, I had to be careful I didn't cut myself. Unbelievable.
The size of those feet, I bet they got some
Yeah.
claws on them. But they are pretty.
Beautiful, you know.
The last one, he just rambled across the backyard and just kind of walked around, turned around, looked around, peed on a
Yep.
bush, and went in the woods. That's
Yep.
all.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, that is wonderful. Now, how about Saturday, if I can roast Patrick, come over and see if we can get that thing up out of the ground
Oh, that's no
And-
problem.
and bend it.
I don't think I'm going to have a problem with it. It's just.
Oh, I know. I got a couple
Yeah,
of
those
them in my
poles.
yard too.
I think I can bend it.
All right. Well, if you can't, let me know.
All right.
We'll come over.
I
and
just
be
got to
doing-
find a tree that I can stick it in and get a.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if I bend from the long end, it'll got a lot of leverage. That's how he bent it too. I'm sure he stood up on his hind legs, reached up like this, and just pulled it down.
Yep. That's great. I
Except
think.
that I got a wife now that probably won't go in the backyard.
Well, by gosh.
She was afraid of the birds, for cripe's sakes.
What have you got for birds these days?
Oh, I got Carolina wrens are back. I got my Rufus-sided towhee is back. Only saw the female. I have not seen a male. Two. Rufus-sided towhee's back. I saw a bluebird again this week. Just one male. I saw a two pair once. And he's back. And the Arctic birds, they left. They just last Friday they were there Friday morning. I did some errands, came back in the afternoon, and I said, "Well, geez, there's hardly any birds out today." And I threw some more seed on the ground because they like to eat it off the ground. Nobody. And
Yeah,
I haven't seen another one since.
I've been, some of my birds have been very slow lately. I still get some sparrows.
Yeah, I got a couple
I get a
sparrows.
flock of sparrows that lives there. But even they are, I think, hunting in the woods or on lawns or
Yeah,
whatever.
they're not jumping all over that feeder anymore.
I had 5 pair of bluebirds
Okay,
all winter. They're gone.
they're gone.
They're gone.
Okay.
Haven't seen a bluebird for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And I got the grackles haven't moved off yet.
Yeah.
They're still hanging around. And as soon as they go,
I got about a half a dozen cardinals.
I get cardinals. Yeah, I've got a bumper crop of cardinals.
I do
in fact.
too.
And I've
And
got
blue jays.
Yeah, I got the blue jays too. But I've got a pair of cardinals, smallish. I think they're probably last year's young, maybe. I don't know.
I think so.
They chase each other around all the time. The same pair.
And then I got, they flickers? Yeah, common flickers they're called. Or yellow flickers and a common flicker.
Oh, okay.
They're a big woodpecker.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I got 3 different kinds of woodpeckers
Yeah,
that
you
come to
too.
my suet. Yeah.
Downy, hairy,
And
The flickers.
rose-breasted.
and red-bellied.
Red-bellied, yeah.
Yeah.
Rose-breasted, red-bellied.
Red-bellied, yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. As the more we spray for mosquitoes and stuff like that, we're killing birds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, by killing their food.
Yeah, I never like to put down insecticide in my yard.
Yeah. Well, all right. I don't even have anything good
I think we are
to end up
against
with
the-
here.
It says wrap up. I guess we're getting some presents.
All right. I'll wrap up with this.
Okay.
Beer, whiskey, rather risky. Whiskey, beer, have no fear.
I've heard that, and it's a lie.
Yeah, I know. Oh, shoot.
Okay,
Well,
guys.
listen, folks, it's been fun chatting with you here the last couple of hours, and I want you to have a nice couple of weeks. Hopefully, the weather is going to moderate a little bit. It was 29 at my house last night.
It was nippy.
It was indeed. So maybe spring is right around the corner.
Next week's supposed to get to 70s a couple days.
There you go. Well, we will see you then.
Take care.
care.